Welcome to the Ambitious Coach Podcast. This is a place where driven, determined coaches learn how to get off the business growth struggle bus and learn how to build a wildly profitable online coaching business. I'm your host, Allison Henderson, corporate dropout to six-figure social media business coach. I'm going to show you how I've been able to create the business of my dreams organically, all through utilizing my social media platforms. So pull up a seat, take some notes, and get ready to see your life and bank account transform. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, I interview Ayisha Amatullah. She is the founder and director of Universal Coach Institute. This was actually the life coaching certification program I decided to go through many years ago when I made that decision to get into life coaching. Her program was great, and she continues to ask me to come into her community of coaches to do presentations around sales and marketing. She is the best. So I wanted to have her on my podcast because she has been doing this for over 10 years, and she has just so much knowledge and experience on just how to be an excellent coach. In this episode, we dive into how to become a better coach. What do you do when you just aren't vibing with your client? How do you handle when your client just isn't getting the results? What do you do if you don't actually want to have a coaching business? And what are those successful coaches doing differently than the coach who's really struggling right now? There is so much greatness in this episode. I'm so excited for you to listen. But before we get started, I want to share with you who is Ayisha Amatullah. So once again, she is the director and founder of Universal Coach Institute. She is a certified coach trainer, life coach, and transformational coach. She approaches coaching using solution-focused positive psychology, neuroscience, NLP, which is Neupro-Linguistic Programming techniques. Ayisha has earned the title of the coach's coach, as she has had the hand in developing some of the greatest names in the coaching industry. She helps coaches to establish themselves as experts, build a profitable and sustainable coaching business, create coaching products, programs, conduct speaking events, and learn how to leverage multiple streams of income within their business. Ayisha has built a successful full-time online coaching business and uses her experience to help other coaches do the same. I'm so excited for you guys to listen to this. Thank you so much for tuning in, and here is your new episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I have a very special guest today. I have on Ayisha. She was one of my mentors, or was the mentor inside the Universal Coach Institute, which was a certification program I took many moons ago to become a life coach. So I wanted to have her on today. So welcome, Ayisha. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you so much for having me.
So I'd love for you to share. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
I'd love for you to share with the audience, who are you and what are you all about?
Oh, okay. So I am and I apologize in advance. I have a little cold going on in my throat right now, but I'm a coach trainer. Meaning I train and certify coaches. So life coaches, business coaches, transformational coaches, and relationship coaches. I've been doing this now. It's been over 10 years. It's been a while. It's been a long time. I own Universal Coach Institute. And so, yeah, I consider myself to be a coach trainer and a mentor. So I'm also a life and business coach as well.
Very nice. And I wanted to have you on today very specifically because I know a lot of people who are listening to this podcast are relatively new to this coaching world, or they have been doing this for a while, but are still like, I just want to be a really good coach. Mm-hmm. And there's sometimes this fear of like, I don't even want to get clients because what if I can't help them? Or what if I don't get them the results they're looking for? And I know this is kind of like your zone of genius where you help people become really good coaches. So how can somebody learn more about becoming a good coach?
How could they learn more about becoming a good coach? Oh, that's a great question. How to learn more. I think that when it comes to learning more, right, about becoming a good coach, you first have to understand like what is a good coach and what does that really mean to you, right? So mostly when you talk about becoming a good coach, we talk about actually getting people results, right? Getting our clients results. So when in that aspect, I just think that it's going to come from training, right? You can definitely read books. There's a lot of like coaching books and stuff like that are out there. But more importantly, I think that learning how to become a good coach is going to come with training and practice. Like some people are just naturally good at it, right? Especially depending on what their definition of a coach is, because some people think that coaching is, someone coming to them, telling them their issues, and then as the coach, you telling them exactly what to do and how to move forward. And that's not coaching, right? But if you're really good at helping that person, some people are really good at helping people without giving them advice. So they're just naturally good at it. But if you're not naturally good at that and you want to learn how to coach others, I always say just practice, like learning, training. So listening, empathy, questions, even silence at times, right? Learning, transformation, things like that. And then practice as you go.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot comes with just experience. You get better and better over time. Like I know my first coaching call I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Like I want to make sure I'm saying the right things. And just obviously now I've been doing this for, almost 5 years, and you get better with experience. So thank you for saying that. And I want everybody to know too, like, I wasn't naturally a great coach at the beginning. Like, I think people think it's like, oh, you went into this because you were already good. And it's like, you don't have to start that way. If it's just you're feeling called to become a coach, or you just know that like there's something inside you that really wants to help people, like this is something that you could really do. And like kind of like, as you mentioned, just like it takes practice and it takes time to just learn this as a skill. So I would love for you to tell me a bit too, like the ones, I mean, obviously you've been doing this for 10 years and you're a business coach. So what are the ones that are like booked out, like the coaches who are super booked out, like you're making a ton of money, like what are they doing differently than the ones that are still struggling?
Results. Results. So a lot of times, results and consistency. Let me say that. A lot of times, and I'm sorry, one more thing, Allison, when you say booked out, like, so there's a difference, right? There's people who are booked out because they do really great marketing, right? And then there's people who are booked out because, they just really good at coaching. But even with both of those, it all comes down to results. When my students are able, or just coaches, I'm not just going to say my students, but when coaches in general, right, are able to get their clients results and showcase those results, those are the ones who are normally booked out, right? So, and when I say results, meaning in whatever area you're helping someone in, when you're able to get them results and you're able to showcase those results and even your own results, right? That's how a lot of coaches start out, is by showcasing their own results. Those are the people who are booked. Those are the coaches who are booked out.
I feel you really hard on that. It's so true. And I always tell people, like, when you smash being really good, really good at marketing, and then also being a really good coach, like that's when like your business blows up. And like, yeah, you really start making that money and consistently making that money. I'd love for you to tell me, because I know that we talked about this a little bit. I did a presentation for Ayisha's group yesterday for the Universal Coach Institute. And she said that she helps people helps people who don't want to have their own business find employment as a life coach or just as a coach. I'd love for you to tell me a bit more about how you do that.
Oh, yes. So I don't specifically help them, but what we doing, right? We have this new podcast series. It's just a short series called From Certification to Employment. And what we're doing is that we are like talking to and interviewing other coaches who actually they don't have their own business, but they work, right, as a coach. So a lot of people, when they come into coaching, they come into coaching to start their own business, but we've been getting a lot of coaches who they want to work for someone. And sometimes that can just be because the business part of it maybe is just not something that they want to do right now. They might have some type of difficulty in it, but they love coaching. And so they still want to utilize the skills of coaching. So there's a lot of different careers out there that coaches can do. Now, there's not always a lot of life coaching jobs out there, but other jobs out there, such as like a student success coach, an executive coach, even like health coaches, an agile coach, right? There's like so there's different types of coaches out there that get hired, and coaches don't realize this. So we're interviewing people who are in these different positions to learn more about those positions. What are the job responsibilities, the education requirements, and then just putting that information out there. And then also, if those people offer like mentor programs or something like that to help them within those areas, those people that we interviewed, then, they will be able to also help, the people who are listening who would like to get that specific job as a coach.
Are you finding it like more and more that you're doing this, that a lot of people are not wanting to be business owners when they get certified as a coach?
So no, I think that most people want to become business owners. Think that they struggle with the marketing piece. So they struggle with the marketing piece. And so normally what'll happen is that they're like, okay, again, like I love coaching, right? But this, like, I'm not getting the clients, that I want. I'm not able to supplement my income, but I love coaching. So what else can I do? How else can I utilize this training, this skill, this certification?
Mm-hmm. So tell me more about this though, because I help a lot of people with the marketing and the sales. Like I help them actually get clients. Like in my mind, it's easy. Like, because I've been doing this for a long time, this is how my brain works. But for that person who's just starting out and they're so scared to put themselves out there and have their own business, like I feel like there's so many benefits of having my own business, right? Like I'm able to stay home with my family. I can literally work from anywhere. My husband's now pretty much a stay-at-home dad. Like there's a lot of great things that have come out of me having my own business. So when people are like, oh, I have this fear of like, putting my face on the internet, right? Like coming on social media and just talking about my offers. I'm always just like think of like there's so much more to gain than lose that, and you're helping people. And I know that's always a part of like what I do too. Like I'm here to serve, I'm here to help and transform people's lives. And like when people are so hung up on the marketing piece, like how do you help them through that?
That is a good question. So when I first started, like we didn't have social media as it is today, right? Like, so when I first started, I did not put myself out there in that way. Like my picture was never out there. We didn't have to have videos, So, and then I think even if we did, I probably would have been that coach that's like, I don't want to do that.
Please don't sign me up for social media marketing. No.
And so, and because there were people who were doing it, putting videos and images out there. But with me, I'm just going to say with myself, it just took time. It took like confidence, right? So you have to put yourself out there because that's what the internet is. The internet is content. People consume content, right? Whether it's reading a blog post, whether it is watching a video, listening to a podcast, looking at a social media post or a reel or, whatever it is. The internet is nothing but content. So the first thing is that I always explain that to, coaches. Like, if you want to market online, you have to put content out there or nobody's going to find you. You cannot just put up a website and think that people are going to find you. That's not going to happen. But then number two is I always tell them to start with what they are most comfortable with, because it does not matter what type of content you do. It really does not. And the reason why I say that is because everybody, like you can find a coach teach about any type of content and how they succeeded and how others are succeeding doing it. So you have to choose and do what's comfortable for you. So for me, even when I started, I chose blogging. And now I still do blogging. Like that is my main source of marketing. Then people on social media, they might frown at it, like blogging. Well, yeah, blogging, right? Now, blogging is not your world, but there are thousands, millions of other people out there who read blogs. right? So that is what is comfortable for me. That was what was comfortable for me, and that's what worked. Now, when I say comfortable, I'm not just saying, oh, because you don't want to show your face, because you can say you want to be a blogger, but if you don't like to write, then that's not going to work for you either.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So when I say comfortable, I mean, not just comfortable, but also easy for you, and something that's easy for you to be consistent with. Being, if you're able to do it daily, not saying you should have to, because there's tactics around marketing, like how you can do content. But I always say, if it's easy for you to do something daily, you know, come up with stuff daily and do things daily, and it's not a struggle for you, then, you know, maybe that's the thing that you should do. And so let me just say one more thing. Even with that, I tell people, like let's just say you like to blog and you don't really like to be on social media. Well, write a blog post, and you can, like, you know, pieces of that blog post and turn it into social media post, right? Or you can read it and record an audio of it or whatever, right? And turn it into a reel or a video or something like that, right? So there's ways to repurpose your content, almost no matter which way you choose. So that's normally what I tell people.
Now with like all these different apps, like you can literally put in like a blog transcription, like copy and paste it, and like it'll push out quotes, and like, yeah, you can actually have somebody read it for you, and you don't even have to be the one that reads it. Like there's so many opportunities now that like we probably didn't have 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Like there's so much stuff coming out, because I'm somebody, I really do feel like video is really highly converting. It is for me, at least. And I am just like, whatever you can do to throw it on a TikTok video or a reel, your stories, people are like pretty visual these days. And I do read blog posts. I'm not going to say I don't. But yeah, it's just like if you love writing, write the blog post. But then, yeah, there's so many resources out there and tools that can help you create those social media posts that you just really don't want to do, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd love for you too, if you can tell me, like, obviously blogging is one thing that I don't really teach much in my program, because I'm pretty much all about social media stuff. But like, what are some other ways people are marketing themselves these days that you just see are working really well? Honestly, other than social media, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So honestly, I'm gonna say word of mouth is the biggest. So
best
just
form of advertising, right?
Yes.
Word of mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it really is. A lot of my coaches who are who are doing good in their business are doing good because of word of mouth. They don't have a big social media following. They don't really use social media for their business as much. So it's like word of mouth. And again, I'm going to say this again, results. So, and it's something that we spoke about in the very beginning, like what makes a great coach, like what makes someone a good coach. It's really that being able to help your clients make a transformation, which normally starts with the mindset, right? So when you can help your clients there, you can help your clients get results, right? And then when you help your clients get results, they begin talking. So not even so much that you have to showcase those results. Your clients are already showcasing their results. And then people are asking them, like, well, what did you do? Like, how did, you look so much better these days. You have so much more confidence these days. Like, what's going on with you? And then a lot of people share how that happened. I'm working with a coach, and stuff like that. And then people will want to know more. So it becomes word of mouth. And those are the people who are most consistent, word of mouth, and they're able to get their clients results.
Yeah. I always say, like, your first 50 clients are going to be like your fans, like your brand ambassadors, the ones that are going to be like, oh my God, you have to hire this person. And like, just get your first 50 clients. And then like, oh, if you have 100 clients, like imagine the ripple effect that happens when you really help people and you do get them those results. I love for you though, like for the person, because I've had to do some mindset work around this of like, what if I don't get them the results? Like, what if they come through my coaching, maybe it's a month program, 2-month program, or a year program, and like they're still not where they want to be. Like, I know that there's so much like internal, like we blame ourselves as coaches. Like, what did I do wrong? I'd love for you to kind of say, like, what would you say to that person right now who's like, okay, I had a client and like they didn't do the work, they didn't stay consistent, they didn't like, we can always blame ourselves, but like, I always say like, look at the person, like what was happening in their life, what was happening in their everyday world, like why didn't they get the results? But I'd love for you just to kind of say like, kind of go into a little bit of why do you feel that happens?
That is a really great question. So I guess I'm saying, get your clients results. And honestly, I should not be saying it in that way. I should probably be saying, coaching your clients for them to get themselves results because that's really what it is, right? It's you specifically cannot get someone else results, right? The person is the one who has to actually do the work in order to get the results.
Right.
And so it's a lot of what you just said, right? I do have that where I would have coaches come to me and say, they've been working with this person and they're not getting results. And then I would do exactly what you just said, have them look at, okay, well, what is the pattern, that is going on with that specific client? Meaning, are they being consistent? Are they doing the work? What else is going on in their lives, right? Because a lot of times when someone is not getting results, it's because of them. It has almost nothing to do with the coach themselves. It always has to do with that person and what's going on with that person. Number one, we need to check and make sure that as a coach, we are not telling them what to do and how to do it, telling them the exact steps they should take, telling them every corner they should turn. So if you're not doing that and you are genuinely listening to your client, following up and asking questions, right, based on what they're telling you, and being able to lead them through their own wisdom, through what's already inside of them, then you're doing your job. Now it's up to them to do their job, and that is to actually do the work. Now, some people may have different things going on in their lives. So one thing I always tell coaches is this: let's start with small successes. Instead of trying to get the client one big, huge result, let's do small successes. This almost always works where, let's say you're meeting with your client every week. So every week you take one small action step. And every week, if they can come back with one, action step that they've reached and those pile up, you cannot say, and they cannot say they are not getting results, right? It may be just that it's going to take them a little longer to actually get there and get those results, but they are making progress.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
However, there are some people who literally, even if you do that, they're not getting results. My first client, my very, very first client.
I love hearing these stories. I love it.
But when it came to what I found out, like I met with this client, I'm going to say about 6 weeks before I had to finally cut it off, because every week they would come back. She would come back and got nothing done. It was a bunch of excuses after excuses after excuses. But that's because I was new at coaching, so I didn't really get into the conversation the way I should have. But when I started really digging, and when I say digging, meaning practicing my coaching more with her, using my questioning skills, using my listening, like really listening is important. That's a key characteristic. And not just listening, but like listening to what they're saying and what they're not saying. Right? Mm-hmm. That's key.
Listening to what they're saying and what they're not saying. I love that.
Exactly. Right. So, and then listening from a place of curiosity and listening for solutions, for counters, for the things that are there that can help that person, not listening so that you can respond, not listening just so you can ask a question. So when I really started listening to the person, I realized, oh, this person, there's a problem here that this person is having. And so I would ask more questions, and then it came out that this person had suffered from I think a personality disorder. It was several of them, several different disorders that they did not come out and share in the very beginning. So a lot of times when this is happening, either when someone is not getting results on a week-to-week basis, this person may have some other underlying issues that need to be resolved before they can be coached. And so you need to know that as a coach. So you need to find out those underlying issues first. And yeah, go from there. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, how did you handle that though? Like, kind of breaking up with this client?
Yeah, because I was not ready. Like nowadays, I teach coaches that you can still work with people who have underlying issues as long as they are seeking that outside help that they need, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever it is, it can be a therapist, a psychiatrist, it could be a doctor, whatever the help is they need. As long as they're doing that, you can still do that. I was not ready. So, and that person was seeking help, but I don't even think she was still there ready for coaching. But I just told her, I said, oh, I'm going to tell you that I am not equipped. I just told her I wasn't equipped to help her, right, with her specific situation, and that she would need to, I would recommend, right, based on her situation, that she sees us, that she gets the help that she needs first from, a therapist, or at that for that person was a psychiatrist who she was seeing, but I had to let her know that I personally am not equipped. This is not the area that I deal with. And that's just basically how I put it. But at that time, again, I didn't have as much experience as I have now, whereas I could have maybe, referred her to like other people or other coaches, or maybe even coach that person myself, still, as long as they were seeking that help. But at that time I was experienced, and I just told them I wasn't equipped to deal with it, and that I recommend that they continue to go to their psychiatrist.
I love that. Yeah. I think that's really hard when you're just like, I'm having a hard client. Like, I feel like it's hard. And I would love your perspective on this too, when it's just like, sometimes it's not even like maybe they even have issues. There's your personalities just clash. Like, what would you suggest? Like, I had a coach once that just says, you don't have to like your client. Like, and I was like, really? Like, is that true? But like energetically, it's like, I didn't want to, there was a few clients where it's like, oh, I hate showing up for the calls. Like, it just completely drained my energy. I love your perspective on that of like, do I have to like this client? And like, what do I do if I really am just like drained after every call?
I disagree with that comment, and this is all opinion. This is not facts. Okay. This is all opinion. I disagree. If someone drains me, I can't coach them. I can't do it. I cannot. So I don't have any like real advice around that, because I disagree. If someone literally now, sometimes, because there's a difference between, does the person drain you, or does the problem that they're having drain you? Like
great
the area,
question. Yeah,
the area that you're coaching them around, does that drain you? And in both situations, well, no. So if a person drains me specifically, I cannot coach that person. It's just, it can't happen. If the problem itself or whatever I am coaching them around is draining, this is where I can go more into coach mode by detaching myself from the issue itself and really just using my list. Because a lot of times when the issue is draining the person, it may be that you're stressing yourself out on behalf of the person, right? Because you may be feeling their energy or whatever like that. So it might be draining you. It can be that this person has been dealing with this issue for a long time. It could be many different things, right? So just really detaching yourself from the issue itself and putting on that coach mode, really stepping out of being a mentor and really just stepping into being a coach and just asking those questions and detaching yourself. But if it's the person, if I notice that maybe the third time I'm coaching them and it's the person, I will have to let the person know that this relationship is not working out. And 9 times out of 10, they feel the same way as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel you on that. Oh, I feel like there's so many more questions I want to ask about this. And the reason being is because I do think a lot of people because when you first start, you're like, I just need the money, or I want the money. I want to help people. I want to feel like I have a business. And so they take on all these clients that they actually just really aren't enjoying. And then I think they second guess the business. Like, am I good at this? Should I be doing this? Like, it's really draining my energy. And I'm always just like, maybe these just aren't ideal clients, right?
Exactly.
These aren't the dream clients that you actually want. And I don't actually recommend taking any clients, all the clients at once, or, just because you need the money. I'm like, I really want you having good energy when you show up on those coaching calls. And something you said earlier, and one of my coaches said this to me, and I'm like, oh, this makes complete sense of when someone's having a really bad day or they're really stressed out, knowing that hey, maybe they're kind of drowning in the pool. You don't have to jump in to save them.
Right.
You really just need a hand. You need hey, I have the tools to pull you out, but I don't need to jump in and be in it with you, if that makes sense. So I think so many times we think we have to jump in to save them. And it's you don't. You have the tools, you have the resources that are going to help them. So it's detaching yourself from that negative energy that they have, I think is really important. And then also not blaming yourself. I don't know how many times as a coach, I'm like, is this my fault that they're still having really bad days, or having, they're not where they want to be yet? And I'm like, I always said, it's not my fault. Because I don't know what's happening in their everyday life or everyday world, or psychology, the psychological aspect of really what's going on too. I can help them to the best of my ability, right? Am I equipped to really help them? And if it's yes, and then great, keep coaching them. But like I said, the energy sometimes, is this energetically a good fit? And so I kind of is going back to is this an actual ideal client? And if it's not, it's totally fine to sit there and say, this just isn't working out for the two of us.
And that's a good point you just made about the ideal client situation, because that's really what it is. So that's the other thing. If you find you have a client that is not you don't like working with this person, then I need you to sit down and write down. Number one, you should always have a little avatar or something of what your ideal client is, right? And then this way, now what you can do is you can look at that specific person and say, well, what is it about that person that does not meet my ideal client? Or what are some of the things with that specific person that's either the person or their situation or whatever it is, right, that you don't like and you don't want to include, right, as your ideal client. And then look at the people who you love working with, and let's pull the things out that you love about working with them. Who are they, right? And put that into your ideal clients list. So yeah, I think the ideal client piece is really big if you're working with somebody who you do not like to work with.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ayisha, for coming on. I know your expertise. You have so much knowledge in helping people and just being a really good coach. So I'll definitely have to have you on again. I'd love for everybody to connect with you. Tell people what's the best place to hang out with you.
That's so funny because I don't do
no social media for Ayisha. We have a Facebook group, but it's for your alumni. I know that.
Yeah. Don't do social media, guys. I'm sorry, but you can't go to universalcoachinstitute.com. That's the website. I do have a YouTube channel, but we're restarting it. There's still videos on there, so we're restarting that channel. But I'm not on social media, so I apologize about that. Yeah. So universalcoachinstitute.com, you can go there, and we do have a Facebook page. Universal Coach Institute has a Facebook page, and at Universal Coach Institute has an Instagram page. So
perfect. And you said you did start a podcast, or you are starting a podcast?
So we're starting it. We're in the middle of the interviews now, and that will be on YouTube as well. That will be on YouTube and then on other podcasting platforms.
Perfect. Well, I'll have to have people search for that. Any last words of wisdom?
Last words of wisdom. I'm just going to say, in order to be if coaching is what you really and truly love to do, right? I want you to really just learn the craft of coaching, And when I say that, meaning don't just come into coaching thinking that you want to give all the steps, the tools, the advice to someone. Really learn the craft of coaching. And you can do that with your everyday life, with your friends, with your family, and things like that, meaning in conversation. Learn how to have conversations with people and just listen. And listen from a place of curiosity. Listen from a place of that person has all the resources, right? So listen, there's different ways that you can listen to people. You can listen to them from they are the problem, they are a part of the problem, or they have the solution. Listen from a place of they have the solution and have questions. Learn to not talk a lot when in conversations with people. And then you can see how much from there that you're really able to help them. And then also be consistent. Do what you love to do when it comes to coaching. Know that there's no one road for everyone. And so whichever road you choose, just be consistent. And that's all.
Oh, beautiful. Well, I appreciate you coming on. And thank you just so much for your wisdom today. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Allison.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys all. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you all so much for listening. And I'll see you all next week. Thank you for listening to the Ambitious Coach podcast today. A couple favors before you go. If you found this episode helpful, please take a screenshot and share it on Instagram. Most importantly, don't forget to tag me at AllisonHenderson_coach. That's ALLISON Henderson_coach. And lastly, please take a minute to rate this episode and leave a raving review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen. Okay, ambition is great, but it's time to get to work. Take action and commit to being 1% better every day. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you again next week.